Alright, we are starting our new chapter of homeostasis. First of all, we should know the definition for this term, what it actually stands for. It is actually the maintenance of a constant internal environment. Whatever our body is having, all the parameters should be nearly constant. Temperature, pH, glucose, water potential, solute potential, all of these factors should vary into a range which is not very severe or drastic. They should lie in a very small range. So this is the definition of homeostasis. And why do we need it? Because of the fact that our cells are very efficient but very demanding. They are to be kept at right temperature, right pH and water potential, because we know that all the reactions, metabolic reactions that are going on in the body are governed or are involving enzymes. So enzymes need to have a optimum temperature and optimum pH at which they work. And we also know that what happens when we will place our cells in hypotonic solution or hypertonic solution. So to keep that concept in mind, we should know that all these factors of temperature, pH, water and solute potential must lie in a very narrow range so that drastic changes does not come and our cells remain in a normal state. Negative feedback is actually the effect of our body which is reversed to any stimulus. So first of all, we should know what stimulus is. Stimulus is any change which is other than normal. Inside our body, if anything changes which is other than normal, that would be called as a stimulus. A receptor would be any cell or any organ where the stimulus is detected, while after detection of the stimulus, there must be a self-regulatory corrective mechanism which brings about a negative feedback. So negative feedback is actually the response of our body against a stimulus to bring it back to normal. As the word negative is indicating, that it will work against the stimulus, negative to the stimulus, whatever that stimulus is. So whatever these factors are written in red color are actually the components which are required to bring the negative feedback. First, that there must be a stimulus. Any change which is other than normal must happen inside the body, and then there must be some set of cells or glands or organs that would detect those stimuli. Once detected, there must be a corrective mechanism which will bring about that change, which will bring that factor which has gone abnormal to normal. So this is the negative feedback, and now we have to see one by one how our body is able to regulate water potential, how it is able to regulate body temperature and blood glucose level. First of all, we'll see regulation of water potential. This is a topic which is common between this chapter and the chapter of excretion that we ended last time. Regulation of water potential is actually the function of kidney. Kidney work as a osmoregulator. Osmoregulation is actually the control of water and solute levels in the blood to maintain constant water potential in the body. You know that water is required in the body because it has numerous functions. It works as a solvent, it works as a transporting medium, it provides aqueous medium for enzyme to work. So we need to maintain that water potential in the blood, and this would be done by the help of kidneys. So what happens is that we can have two kind of stimulus. One stimulus can be low water potential, that is dehydration in the body, which has numerous reasons. Maybe we are not taking enough water in our diet, or maybe we have lost a lot of blood because of any disease. We have lost a lot of blood. By blood I mean to say water in the plasma. So whenever we are dehydrated, what happens is that hypothalamus, which is the part of the brain, gets provoked or gets the detection, and then it will instruct the posterior pituitary gland, which is the master gland, to release more ADH. ADH is a hormone, stands for antidiuretic hormone. Its concentration will go higher, and let me tell you its function. It will cause more reabsorption from the kidney, reabsorption of water. So higher concentration of ADH will allow kidney to absorb more water, so less would be excreted out in the urine. So we can say that whenever we are dehydrated, the urine produced by that organism would contain less water, or we can say it would be concentrated. So you see that how the negative feedback played its part, that the stimulus was the dehydration while body worked against it to bring the water levels back to normal. On the other hand, if you see, the other stimulus is high water intake, which will lead to overhydration. This again will cause hypothalamus to instruct posterior pituitary gland to release ADH, but now the ADH amount would be lesser because we don't want more water to be reabsorbed by the kidney. So ADH amount or the ADH concentration in the blood will be lower, and it will allow kidney not to absorb a lot of water, and more would be excreted out in the urine. So we can say that whenever we are overhydrated, the urine produced by that person would be dilute, or would have higher volume, or would be less concentrated. So you see, in both ways, stimuli can be any. It can be lower than the normal levels, or it can be higher than the normal levels. Anyway, the stimulus will be detected, and a corrective mechanism will occur which will bring back that parameter, that factor back to normal. The other factor that we need to control is blood glucose concentration. We know that this topic we have already read in animal nutrition, where you know that whenever the glucose level goes higher, the pancreas are stimulated. They will receive the stimuli. For instance, if you can see here, I've written glucose normal. There is no deviation from the normal on a straight line here, while we can have two kind of stimuli. One is increased glucose concentration, and the other stimuli is decreased glucose concentration from the normal set point. So what happens when glucose concentration goes higher than normal? Pancreas are stimulated. They will start to release more insulin, which is again a hormone. It is responsible for conversion of excess glucose to glycogen in liver and muscles. Now, if I talk about the other stimuli where the glucose concentration is going below normal, again pancreas are stimulated, but instead of insulin, now they will release glucagon, which is another hormone responsible for conversion of glycogen back to glucose. So if you see that here the stimuli was increased glucose level, while the body is working against it by decreasing the glucose concentration by converting it into glycogen. On the other hand, when the glucose level are going down, the body is working against it by increasing the amount of glucose to bring it back to normal. So this is another example of negative feedback, which is also illustrated in this diagram, where you can see that blood glucose level when goes higher will be detected by the pancreas, which will increase the production of insulin. Now, insulin is not only responsible for conversion of excess glucose to glycogen, it also increases the permeability of the cells for glucose, that it will stimulate the cells to take up more glucose so that more can be taken up from the blood for respiration, and it goes lower back to normal. I'm repeating again, whenever the blood glucose level shoots, pancreas will release insulin. Insulin will try to convert this glucose to glycogen in muscles and liver. Not only this, it will also increase the permeability of the cells so that more glucose is taken up for respiration and the blood glucose level goes back to normal. Reverse is happening when blood glucose level goes down than the normal. Pancreas are stimulated, but glucose is now converted back to glycogen is converted back to glucose by the hormone called glucagon. So this is done by the hormonal action and is one of the classic examples of negative feedback.